Good morning, Robbie.
Right, morning, mate. How are we today?
Yeah, it's a rare week doing one in the middle of the week. Unfortunately, Charlie's on the mad rush to work. What happens in the rush hour in the UK? I could never, when I used to run Julie to the train station at King's Cross, she'd come down for the weekend. On the Monday, I used to take my now wife back to King's Cross and she'd go up, get off at Doncaster. I could never believe that the London Underground, how many people can squeeze into these little central line train, and you've got people there in suits and people that are begging on the train. You got pickpocket, and they're stuffed in, aren't they? Like like you could not believe. It's like a box of Twiglets, and everyone's saying you got people that stink, and they're all touching you, mate. How people do that morning rush hour run, I don't know, but like hats off to them.
Oh, it's hard work.
Is it like that where you are, Robbie? We live in a village in the mountains.
No, I've got about 10 steps to get to work, so no, I'm all right.
Yeah, well, I'm done for the week. We're working on this Blues Brothers set, which is almost finished, and I just need some white short sleeve shirts because the summer coming, and I'm going to nip out later on and do that. But for me, guys, the weekend is without a doubt my favourite football day of the year, the FA Cup final. Robbie was spoke about it before. You've had some great FA Cup memories. You told me one about getting thrown out the pub, the same pub twice.
Uncle Dennis and my dad and everyone. It was great.
Yeah,
great fun.
And we had some amazing memories. Usually we had to get off at Baker Street and change to do the Wembley Park as it was then. I think you can get on the Elizabeth line now at Canary Wharf and it goes straight to Wembley Park. But at that point, it didn't. It was Whitechapel to Baker Street, get off at Baker Street and then get on one. And the singing and the atmosphere and the colours, it's just a fantastic thing. Obviously, Chelsea, a London side. They've won it 8 times, only just behind Man United on 12 and Arsenal on 14. And City, believe it or not, only won it on 7 times. They've lost a couple of finals, haven't they? Which I thought they'd have won. I thought they'd have beat Palace last year, but I thought Palace played amazing. And I've got to say, as a fans' final, I thought last year the Crystal Palace fans was a credit to the game. They literally outsung City all day long, didn't they? We had that incident earlier on where Henderson, when Ireland was running down their right, and Henderson come out the goal and touched the ball away. I thought he was on the edge of his left-hand side of his area. You're talking about the goalkeeper. And I thought it was an indirect free kick, but Guardiola went berserk at the end, didn't he? And he wanted to have a tear up with Henderson. Did you think that was a sending off, or did you think that?
I didn't think it was. I think Guardiola was a sore loser that day because he didn't mind a couple of years before when we had a goal ruled out against him in the final. He didn't complain then, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been a goal, and I think a penalty if I remember rightly. So no, I thought it was great for Palace. I've got a mate who supports Palace. He's in his 50s. He went, "That's it, the first thing we've ever done." And I thought it was great. Staying with Henderson, one of my mates told me that after the game, I've got flying all look. After the game, he put a load of money in a pub wherever they were celebrating near Crystal Palace, and he just put a couple of £1,000 behind the bar for everyone. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's nothing. We will come down to the cost of what everyone gets for winning because a lot of teams, especially the Premier League teams and teams in Europe, they don't seem to take it serious until the day they get there and it comes along. Obviously, what's happened with Chelsea this year, my pick to win the league this year, I even put my money where my mouth is, started off well with Maresca.
That went well.
I still now have no idea why they got rid of Maresca. We know that there's a lot going on behind the scenes at the moment with Bluco and Egbale and sort of ripping themselves to pieces internally at the moment, Chelsea, which is not the right thing to do. There's rumours they see Xabi Alonso going there. I personally can't see Xabi Alonso going there and working under the current structure of not being told who comes in, who don't go in, which brings me on to squad costs. And it's quite funny because the 2 teams with the biggest squad cost are in the final, which probably shows your money talks. Chelsea's about 1.3 billion and Man City's about 1.1 billion. What has happened to your team, Robbie, since the departure of Maresca?
I think the players liked him. I think he was very popular with them. I don't know, obviously behind the scenes. I saw a couple of videos where he welcomed Josh Achampong into the team, and it was lovely. But it was clearly something with the owners. I think they've got like 5 sporting directors, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You know, we're not experts, are we? So something had happened there because he sort of was sacked and quit at the same time. And after that, they've just, well, the biggest mistake was hiring a guy who wasn't, you know, qualified or experienced enough to take the job. And it just went into free fall. And there's systems and change, you know, training changing in the middle of the season. I think that's a difficult thing. And it's upset, and the team's unbalanced. You know, injuries haven't helped, but the squad's unbalanced rather than the team.
Yeah, I think the City team picks itself, as we've seen over the last 7 or 8 games. He's tried to do a transition since he lost De Bruyne and a few other people. And what I don't get with him at the moment is he's turning what I would call good players into players they don't seem to get a game. I mean, he made Jack Grealish more defensive, didn't he, when he went there? And Jack Grealish, to me, was he just a good player at Aston Villa? And when he went to City, was he just part of the jigsaw? And also, like with the likes of Phil Foden, you know, that he was exciting, wasn't he? And when there was an England team being announced, you wanted Foden in the team, didn't you, as an England fan? And you wanted to see different parts. And all of a sudden, he don't even get a game anymore, does he? And like they bought that Moroccan Mamouche, didn't they? And when he first come in, we thought, yeah, he's going to score a lot of goals. Looked like he was going to drop Ireland for Mamouche at time. And now suddenly he's not getting a game. But they have been settled recently. But we spoke about this the weekend, and I think they're too inconsistent for a team to win the league. I'm sick to death of hearing about VAR this week. You know, I think when I don't like it, it does me head in. If VAR can't come to a decision within 30 seconds, then it's the on-field decision. You've got 30 seconds in VAR. Get on with it. Yes or no, let's go on with it. You can't celebrate a goal. Literally everyone puts their hand up for anything now. Even if someone scores from the halfway line, there'll be people putting them out, oh, well, this happened. It's just ridiculous. There's no rules coming in for the World Cup where they're going to look at second yellows, where normally they can only look at reds. They're going to look if it should have been a corner or a throw. And I tell you, mate, if there ever is something that can ruin football, it is that. When I was a kid and the FA Cup come along, I've said it loads of times, the whole week was just this cacophony of information coming in about different. You always hope that you're going to get that non-league side, didn't you? That as that run, you know, a couple of seasons ago when Maidstone, you know, they got to the 4th or 5th round, I think, you know, and that drew them 700 grand. Now, 700 grand in the scheme of things for a Premier League team ain't good. But for a team like Maidstone, that's their next season's. That's the next season paid for, with the ground being looked after. I think it's fantastic that it's the only club competition in the world where as long as you're affiliated to the FA, you can enter it. You know, I think you got, if you're a Premier League team, I think you've got to win 6 games to be able to get to the final. Does it still hold something in your heart, Robbie, the FA Cup final day, like it does for me?
For me personally, yeah, it's a trophy. You want to win trophies, whatever, but it's a special one. And it being the oldest, and I think growing up, having the whole day on BBC or ITV, flicking through Saint and Greavesy, all of that as a kid, they built the excitement. A few interviews with players, and you'd see people arriving in the stadium and everything, and it was great. So yeah, for me, it's special, and I'd always want to win it. I know it's changed over the years. Like a lot of, you know, they don't put the big team out, or even City the other night rested half of their squad, which means he wants to win it. You know, do it.
Yeah, I think he's very competitive. We see that, Robbie, in the League Cup final, didn't we? I think he knew deep down to win the league, he was going to need a lot of Arsenal to make mistakes, and they've certainly not made it easy for themselves, Arsenal, recently. But you mentioned the word they're going to limp over the line earlier on, and I think you're dead right. I think Arsenal are going to limp. But if you see the exhilaration of the City fans, the City players, and everyone was going, what are they doing? Just sell it a bit like the year before when Newcastle won it and everyone, they're going over the top. It don't matter. It's a fans' day out. And if football isn't about the fans, what is football if it ain't for a day out for the fans? We had a chance this year of like the likelihood is we're going to go down. We're still favourites to go down, West Ham. Yeah, mathematically, we've got a chance, us and Spurs, but it's 50-50 now. But when we played Leeds, we had a chance. We was in the quarter-final of the Cup. What a thing if Sullivan, the West Ham owner, would have come out and gone, listen, guys, we might go down this year. Let's try and win this FA Cup. Instead of that, he dropped 6-7 players, Nuno. Weren't interested in the game. Good luck to Leeds. I've got nothing against Leeds, and I wish Leeds was in the final. I know like it would have been a great final if it was a replay of 1970. Reputedly the dirtiest final ever. And Billy Bremner used to have a list of who he hated, by the way, and one of them was Ron Harris, because he said of the things that happened during the 1970 final. I mean, they was a real rough, tough team at the time, Leeds, weren't they? And they put it about. But I think Chelsea give it back to them. And I think to this day, Leeds have never really forgiven them, because they was like the be-all, winning-all at the time, weren't they? Did you ever see a replay of that game, Rob?
I've seen that. I think there'd be probably about, now with VAR, there'd probably be about 15 red cards, wouldn't there, right now?
Game would be a ban. Well, let me tell you, they had a player called Ian Hutchinson, Chelsea, and with Arsenal on their long throws, like Ian Hutchinson was doing it in the 1970 Cup final. One of the goals, company, you won the replay 2-1. So don't think like that you're doing anything new, Arsenal. It's been around for years. When Stoke did it with Rory Delap, when Tony Pulis was the manager, they got slated. Everyone said they were useless. They was a long ball, long throw team, and lo and behold, look at it, it's part of the game. Mate, I just love all the songs. Years ago, each team would do a song. What am they? West Ham would really call Bubbles. Chelsea used to do Blue is the Colour. Arsenal did Good Old Arsenal. Probably the Tottenham song when Chaz and Dave come along with Ozzy's Dream. And I thought that was a real good cup final song.
Suggs' song.
But mate, the biggest laugh for me ever was when the players do the walk on the pitch about an hour before they get changed. Was the Liverpool players coming out in white suits? Oh, mate, they look like they should have been on Miami Vice. Like,
brilliant. But that was part of it. You see, you had cameras on, and as a fan, particularly when I was a kid, it was like, wow, this is incredible. And I do think some of that's gone in the fact the way they do it, or they'll be, instead of getting loads of players, they'll be getting a pop singer or somebody like that, which kind of is not as important, when you've got the point of view coming of an ex-player, someone who's won it. And I always remember when you signed a foreign player, their dream was to play at Wembley. That was to play at Wembley. Like for them, for most foreign guys, it was very, very special, very important, as it should be. And that's why I still don't think the semi-finals should be that. I think that should be part of the prize, being able to play in that stadium.
Well, do you know, Robbie, I sort of half agree with you that and half don't, because the FA have done it for a couple of reasons. One is because they've still got to pay for Wembley. And obviously, with the gate receipts, they take 10% of the gate receipts. That helps pay for what it costs to build Wembley to start off, but also for the upkeep. But it also gets split between the teams. So I'll come back to because without the ticket money, the winner gets. Let me find. I've looked this up earlier, and I was quite surprised. Where are we? I think it's around about 2 million. But when you look, so for the third round, you got to bear with me with this. Mm-hmm. When they reach the semis, Chelsea and Man City both earn 1 million, just under 2 million. Yeah, round 3. You got to remember what it is if these big little teams get there. They get 121 grand, round 4, 127, round 4, round 5, 238, quarterfinals, just under 500,000, semi-finals, 1 million, and to win it, just over 1 million. But they also get some of the ticket money that basically bumps it up to between 4 and 7 million, and the runner-up will end up in 3 million. Now, we know it's pocket change compared to other income. I mean, for the 2025 this season in the Champions League, Chelsea pocketed just under 80 million. Man City did 83 million. And they also made 114 million, respectively, from the Club World Cup, which you was in. Yeah. So we do realise now where the money lies and why a lot of the bigger clubs, they put importance into the money. But I just got to go back to what I said about the fans. And I remember when you try to get a ticket, the old Wembley, for me, I mean, do you remember they had them gates? They was like cross gates, like you had on a lift, didn't you? where people used to walk up the stairs, you waited outside, go to mate, give me your half a ticket, because they tear a little bit of ticket off, didn't they? They geared the half. When you got the half a ticket, we knew what booths to go to because you got used to who they were. And you'd go in there with a fiver under the ticket, and the bloke would take your fiver, your tenner. Obviously, you gear the ticket back. So when you come out, you showed the copper where you were, and then you'd go out and you'd pass it through the gate. So when they said about these 100,000-seater stadiums, mate, God knows how many people was at the old Wembley. And the old Wembley, I've said it before, it used to vibrate. You know, you could feel the floor moving. When you look back at it now, you think, bloody hell, how did it never collapse? Which is, I got into every final. I went to my first final in 75, which was, I didn't get to the West Ham, but I did see the League Cup final, which was Norwich and Aston Villa. The first major final by two clubs outside the top league. Villa won it 1-0. And after that, I went all the time, right up until it was all-seater, when you really needed a ticket for your seat then, which was Tottenham, Nottingham Forest, which Tottenham won. But it's just magical for me. I do think they're quite boring. I've looked at some of your wins. A lot of your wins, you've won 1-0. Does it matter how you play in the final, or is it just about winning?
I actually think, well, if you win, then you're not going to complain, however it is. The funny thing for me with a final is usually there aren't many goals. It's usually tight. I think there's nerves, obviously, which means it's important. The fans are nervous as well, and they try and create an atmosphere. And if you think like last year with Palace, you kept thinking, oh, City are going to go and score, and they didn't, you know, and they got over the line. And I think we spoke about Arsenal in the league. You just want to win it. You want to win by a big scoreline, but realistically, I hope Chelsea win tomorrow, obviously. I'm hoping, I don't expect us to go out and smash City 4-0. It's not happening. You know, even if you were playing, if Southampton got there, I still wouldn't expect that kind of scoreline because I think the game is tight. Nobody wants to make a mistake.
Southampton might have had their spies down at Stamford Bridge, mate. We'll leave that for Sunday. Yeah, I mean, the West Ham Liverpool game a few years back, I think it was at the Millennium Stadium, that one. That's a good game, you know. I mean, West Ham, for me, threw it at the end. They should have put someone on Gerrard when they brought him on, and the goalkeeper, Shaq, should have got that. He should have got it. And the penalties, I'll tell you a story about Reina. Yeah. Reina was in goal, weren't he, for Liverpool? Yeah. And he was one of those goalkeepers that come about 3-4 yards off their line. Wouldn't get away with it now. I was at a golf club, and everyone was having their picture taken on the balcony with this bloke. And everyone went, do you want your picture taken with him? I went, well, who is it? And they went, I said, who is it? Like, and he went to me, it's Reina. I went, who's Reina? They went, do you remember the Liverpool goalkeeper? I said, yeah, actually, I want a word of him. Like, I went out. He went, do you want a picture? I went, no, I don't, mate. I went, see, you use a cheater. He went, what? I said, you was up your line in the cut. You cost up in the, you know, in the penalties. And do you want to talk about it? No, I don't, mate. I can't tell you what I say on here, but it was Foxtrot Oscar. You know what I mean? I'm not interested. And I walked away, and I think he was a little bit stumped to fight. And then he just started laughing as someone in his party come over, mate. He went like, you want to just go? I went, no, I don't. And it's quite funny because I bumped into a Villa fan the other night. And he went to me, do you see all that what went on with Arsenal with you? Like the VAR last week. I went, oh, mate, I've had enough of it. Like, I don't care now. It's a go. He went, well, that serves you right because you got a penalty against us in 1980 in the FA Cup, and it shouldn't have been a penalty. You beat us. Mate, as football fans, do we really hold grudges that long? I mean, I said to him, mate, you're talking it's 46 years ago. I mean, I was at the game, believe it or not. I remember that was 46 years ago, mate. And I bet it just shows you that football fans, as football fans, we do hold grudges, don't we?
But it's true because a mate of mine, we've been linked with Alonso as a manager this week. And a mate of mine said, I don't want him, he's a cheat. He cheated us in that game in 2005 or 2004. So it's only 20 years ago. So, yeah, they hold grudges. You know, it's quite funny.
It's strange. I mean, I do hope we're going to get a game of football. I don't think there's any excuses that they don't play football. I do think the Chelsea team tried to walk the ball in the net. I think when they played Everton a couple of weeks ago, they went 1-0 up and they did typical City, backwards, sideways, forwards, you know. And when you listen to a load of old managers and a load of players, that they seem to like to play, we use the word progressive because it gets used at the moment. But a lot of players do like to play with a manager whose first thought is, let's get the ball forward. You know, let's try and get the ball forward. Let's not go side to side. Let's push up. Let's press hard. And I do think it makes for a better game, and also think it makes the goalkeeper make plenty of mistakes. But you are right about the finals. I just think the two teams are going to negate each other, Robbie. I really do, and I think it'd be 1-0 or a penalties.
Probably right. Just hope it goes our way. So, but I think, for me, I don't think we should hold fear. City are obviously a very, very good side. They're going to have their strongest squad out there, experience. They've won all the trophies, but it's a one-off game. You see, in my mind, it's like you've just got to go at them because being the underdog as well, you just got to go for it because you never.
I agree, Robbie. You've got 2 more games left in the league. One against Tottenham, which is a West Ham fan. We sort of hope you beat them. Who's your last game against? Who's your last game?
Sunderland.
So you got Tottenham and Sunderland, and to try and earn a maximum of 6 points. Is it a possibility you're going to need to rely on the FA Cup to get European football, or will it not matter because City are already in the Champions League anyway, and you'll go there by runners up regardless?
No, I don't think we do. I think if we come runners up in the cup, I think that next spot goes to somewhere in the league. Years ago, the runner up would get into Europe. I remember when Millwall did it years ago and they lost the final to United, I think, and they got into Europe. But now it would go to the next place in the league. So no, we need to win all the games. Especially the one against Spurs. I've been going on about it all season. They can't let me down now. But that's an important game, regardless of winning the cup or not.
Yeah, I agree. Robbie, the ticket allocation is supposedly 40% each. Now, every year, fans moan, especially the fans with a lot of season tickets, miss out on allocation. I always talk about a guy called Peter Osgood, which was big Chelsea centre forward in the day. Loved the women, loved his beer, loved everything, basically. But he would turn up at clubs with a suitcase full of cash and go, right, who's got FA Cup final tickets, And I don't know whether them days still exist or they don't. Do you think it's right that there's a 20% of tickets going to pools, get shared around minor leagues, get shared around referees association? Or do you think when it gets to the final, the ticket allocation should be just 50-50 for each club?
Some of it I get for other clubs and that. What bugs me, though, is it's not, is it? That 20% will be corporate sales from people that probably been to a football game once, if that, in their lives. And I think it kills the atmosphere. Because like you and me, if that was us, we'd be right, I'm excited, let's go. We're going to go out, have a couple of beers, get in the ground, make some noise. And you've got a guy sitting next to you who's going to be sitting there with his phone. And I think a lot of this, the England games, you see the atmosphere, it's just not there.
I don't get this with the phones, Robbie. We've got TV cameras everywhere for every game, even down to the lower leagues. I've been watching some of the playoff finals because of the channel we do, and I watched Church go up the other day. I see Rochdale score in literally the final seconds of the match. Penalty shootout, yeah. But I think, like I said to you, it's about the fans. And personally, I think the fans should get the tickets for the games. It's their team. It's them who's followed their team all the way through. It's the fans that make the noise. I mean, when I went in the 80s to the 80 Cup final, there was a bloke near me, mate, he'd made this hammer. I don't know what he made it out of. It must have been about 6-7 foot tall. It was like a mallet, and he was waving it around. I'm thinking, if you lose that, it's going to come down and pump someone on the head. But we made a banner up, right? And at the time, Arsenal had 2 centre-backs who Brian Clough described as the Rolls Royce of centre-backs. They had David O'Leary and Willie Young. And West Ham had Billy Bonds and Alvin Martin. And he went they're just like an old clapped out Mini Cooper compared to them. So we done a banner going, our old Bill circumcised his big willies, you know what I mean? And it didn't make Baker Street before it got taken off of us, and taken away. But most times you could get in the ground with everything. Why anybody wants to sit there watching football with a camera is beyond me, because you can see the game anywhere you want. Yeah, you can't get the atmosphere, dependent on where because you always, when you went to a ground, this is football fans being fickle again, you'd be at, I don't know if anyone knows the Wembley if you haven't been, but A, B, C, D, E end is the end where the tunnel end is, where the players come out. And because you've got that concourse that goes over the tunnel, it's less tickets you get than the other end.
Yeah.
And we always got that in, and we would go, oh, it ain't fair. Like, and when on the telly you heard someone else singing, it's nothing to do with who sings more than other. It's more to do with where the acoustics are and where the microphones are. What I do hate is that teams that lose. Now, bearing in mind how hard it's taken for their team to get there, and they've had to play around about 6 games if they're Premier League teams, is if you lose. When the players do their lap of honour at the end, don't go home. You've had your day out. Stay there. When we played Liverpool in the League Cup final, we got a penalty in the last minute. They was winning 1-0 from a highly contentious goal. Pity they weren't VAR then. And we scored in the last minute, so it was 1-1. So Liverpool hadn't lost. They beat us in a replay at Villa Park on the Wednesday, 2-1. When the Liverpool players did their walk round, it was empty. It was almost like, oh, God, we've lost. You know, it was our entitlement to win, and we didn't win. Stay there and support your team, because your team have done and won these 6 games to get to the end, like when we lost the League Cup final up at Villa Park. A lot of people wanted to boo the West Ham players. And a few others thought, hold on a minute. You know what I mean? We've nearly beaten the best team in the league, in the upper league. We was in the second. So, like, just then the end, it ended up being a fight between our own fans. Just stay there and support your team. Win or lose, enjoy the day and have a great day out, Robbie.
Exactly. You've got to. The phone thing drives me mad, and we haven't got enough time for me to moan about all of that, because I can't see the point of sitting in a stadium looking at it on your phone when you can actually be there. So you see it all. Plus, whatever you're trying to film, what are you going to do? Go around to your mate and say, "Here, I've got a video," and they go, "Yeah, I watched it on TV," or I can get it on YouTube 30 seconds later in HD. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't get it, mate. I don't get the phone thing, full stop. You know, I'm like you. I'm an old-fashioned fan. I just completely, you know, there used to be a question of sport between the two teams. There'd be it's a knockout between the two teams. It's a knockout. There's just on frontier, weren't it? They made a song about that from years ago. It was just an amazing, amazing day. It was on both BBC. It was on ITV. You'd end up having a row in your ass with what commentator you wanted to hear. Do you remember?
Well,
I want to hear Brian Moore. No, I want to hear David Coleman or John Motson. You think, why are you arguing over what commentators?
I remember all of these, but one was easy with my dad. If it was David Pleat, it wasn't him. My dad hated him. It was get him off the screen, and a few.
He did a good dance at Wembley, though, for Luton.
Yeah, but no, he hated him. He went, anyone but him will change the channel. But going back to that, a point I wanted to bring up was when it was like that, more neutrals were interested in it. Now, I know a lot of football fans that won't bother watching that tomorrow because of the kickoff times the last 10 years or whatever it's been. A lot of fans won't bother. Whereas before, when you were younger, it didn't matter who was playing in the final. Everyone wanted to watch the FA Cup final. And even some of the Champions League finals and that, you wouldn't bother. Whereas before, you'd want to watch the big games.
Yeah, I agree. When West Ham played Frankfurt in the Euro League, you can buy tickets through some of the bank machines out here. You go on if there's any tickets, or you can go on their site. So we sort of ordered 4 tickets for the if we won and got through to the final. It was in Seville. Obviously, we got beat by Frankfurt. Cresswell got sent off early on in the game, and they targeted him. And I give my tickets to Rangers fans. I said, like, if you're going down there, like, unfortunately, they lost in the final, but when West Ham got to the conference, I found this tiny little bar, you know, in Benidorm, big screen, me and my mum, Judy and West Ham tops. These 20 Rangers fans walked by, didn't they? Like, and all the West Ham fans give us their tickets for the final. We're with you. Oh, mate, the noise they make. Mate, it was a great atmosphere, but I've got to say, the language was that the girl kept coming out with me. I went, well, yeah, I'm in a West Ham top, like, but I'm being mega sensible. These are all in. But I do think, and I've said this to a load of fans, when it's FA Cup final day, whether you like someone or not, you pick a team you want to win that final. You always do. I've always done it.
Yeah. You do. I mean, we do it last year. I think everybody I know wanted Palace to win it last year. Probably, I don't know any Brighton fans. Probably not them. I do. I think unless it's a big rival, you generally want them to underdog to win. Or another club.
Brighton should have won it a few years back, Robbie. They should have beat Man United in the first game, and I think it was Gordon Smith was through 1-on-1 with a Man United keeper who was Gordon Bailey. Gary Bailey. And he saved it, and then Man United won the replay 4-1. They had their manager at the time was a guy called Jimmy Melia, who wore lucky white shoes, and he looked like he should be in a scene from Saturday Night Fever. You know,
is that where the Liverpool players got the idea from a few years later?
Like the worst suits ever, weren't they? They called themselves the Spice Boys. Do you remember? It was McManaman, Fowler, yeah,
Redknapp, and a few
others. The Geordie lad. Can't think. Stan Collymore, the Geordie lad. What was his name? Thick as two short planks. I can't think. Jason McAteer, weren't it? Jason McAteer. His name was. Yeah.
Wasn't it?
But they were the worst. Yeah. Robbie, a fascinating 30 minutes. I've kept you long enough. Let us know who you fancy winning the cup. Robbie, I've said all year for Chelsea to regain a bit of composure next season, you need a goalkeeper, you need a centre half. Tell me what you think your team's going to be, or the team you would like to play tomorrow. Who would the Chelsea 11 would you like?
Irrelevant because he's going to play whoever's fit. I'm hoping that Colwill starts. He did make a big difference to our defence last week. But you see, like last week, Cucurella was playing as a winger, right? And I thought he did really well. But I don't know how that's going to be at Wembley. But at least he's got drive in him. But I'm hoping they're all fit. João Pedro needs to be up front. We need someone that can change a game. I'm hoping Palmer's fully fit, and that they need to work out to give him the ball. He's going to play. He's going to be Fernandez, Caicedo, Palmer. I don't know how.
Robbie, can I just stop you there a second? I was talking to a lad yesterday. It's quite funny because we were talking about the final, and he said to me, certain players create space for other players. He went with the demise of Cole Palmer's game this year. There's been calls by getting rid of Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah,
they said because Nicholas Jackson used to pull two defenders away, and I didn't think of it like that.
He did. That was the thing with Jackson. Missed a lot of chances and stuff, but he was always running, and he did make space because a defender's going to follow you. My only worry more about all of this with the squad is the manager's very inexperienced. Is he going to go defensive? Because if he does, then we're going to get done. Because you can't expect to sit back against Man City and try and sneak a 1-0 win. You've got to go for it. You know what City are going to bring. You know how they're going to play. There's no shock. Haaland's up front, Rico and all the others. So you know what the team's going to be. Or you almost. But you know the style they're going to play. So I'm just hoping that they're trying to find loopholes. Because Everton scored 3 goals against them the other week.
Should have beat them, Robbie.
Right, and that was unexpected. You expected them to lose. So it's proven nobody's, infallible. You can get to them. So
no, I agree. I'll sit you before. If you want to give things back to the fans, get to finals. I mean, I thought that European final last year, Man United Spurs, I thought it was one of the worst finals I've ever watched. It was 90 minutes of my life. I'm never ever going to get back, isn't it? Look what's happened. Oh, it was, when I look at the FA Cup, I don't want that. I mean, I loved it when Leicester won it. I spoke to a Leicester fan. You was talking about a Leicester fan earlier on, and I'd said to him a couple of weeks back, if I'd have said to you 10 years ago, you were going to win the Premier League, but then you were going to go up and down for a couple of years, you were going to get the Champions League quarter, you was going to get the Euro semis, you was going to win the FA Cup, would you give that all up to stop yourself going into the first division? He went, not a chance. He went, I couldn't care less if we go down to Nashville. He went, that's in my memories. And that FA Cup day was Julie Tillemans, weren't it, who scored? I think that was against you, weren't it?
Thanks, us.
They scored an absolutely cracking goal. I think football is dreams. I think when you're a kid growing up, and all the kids, what did you want to do? I want to score the FA Cup winner at Wembley. Exactly. That's what every kid growing up wanted to do. Football has mugged off has mugged off football. European football is now mugging off football even more because it's not about the working man's game. It's now about money and it's nothing else. But if you can take yourself back to that little kid and you find a patch of grass, like a lot of kids will be doing tomorrow, and probably won't. They'll be doing it on their what they call them on FIFA on their PlayStation. Yeah. But when we were kids, you jump us down. And one side of us would have been Chelsea, one would have been Man City, and we'd have played that final out and dreamed that the crowd go wild and the noise echoes round the stadium because you've scored that winner in a Wembley final. And I just hope it's a great final tomorrow. Robbie, thank you very much. I'll see you on Sunday, my friend.
Yeah,
Good luck.
hopefully I'll be very happy. Cheers.
Take care, everyone.